In chess, there are hundreds of different openings, with each person picking an opening that suits the way they want to play the game of chess. And based off of this important decision, I believe it is easy to tell if someone is a chill, cool person, an evil person, or even if someone is a bit of a freak. As a 2100 rated player, I've seen it all and met a lot of different chess players. And as such, I believe I'm qualified to rank openings based off of not how good the opening is, but how good of a person you are for playing each opening. Evans Gambit is a pretty cool opening. They immediately sacrifice a pawn in order to try and take the center immediately. And for some reason, this opening is not as popular as other gambits, such as the Scotch Gambit. This means it can be overlooked by some opponents, allowing you to catch them off guard, especially if they are not aware of the many traps inside of the Evans Gambit. Overall, I think these people are crazy, but also smart. There is some logic in the chaos, as they don't try and force the same gambit every single game. They pick and choose and likely have a repertoire with many different niche gambits for different situations. As such, Evans Gambit players have my respect, which is why I think this opening belongs in S tier.
Something's wrong with him. That's not human, man. You're not regular, man.
I've been through tough times, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure we all have. However, don't think there is a worse experience than logging onto chess.com, being happy, trying to have a good day, and then your opponent plays the Hippopotamus Defense against you. For those who don't know what this opening is, Black immediately fianchettos both bishops, brings both knights to the middle, but does not try and take any space in the center. This sounds like a bad opening, and according to the computer, it is. However, it can be extremely frustrating to play against, as starting an attack can be difficult to do without letting your opponent get back in the game and create a strong counterattack, which is why I cannot respect this opening. They play the same 10 moves in the opening every game and think they're playing good defense. People who play this are toxic. They do not belong on this earth. And because of this, I need to place this opening at the bottom of my list, even below the 4-move checkmate. People who play the Reti or English are extremely chill. They don't often memorize specific lines and instead rely on their previous experience in the position, often playing c4, knight f3, and fianchettoing one or both of their bishops. I know some people will get mad that I'm putting these two openings together, but 90% of the time they transpose into one another, unless you're playing some specific line like the King's Indian attack. Overall, I rate people who play this opening, as they play honest chess and don't need to rely on cheap traps. And since people who play this opening are pretty chill and usually good people, I believe the Reti and English both belong in the bottom of A tier. I feel bad being mean to the Colle System, but I have to be real. The Colle System is the Temu version of the London. I don't fully understand why people play the Colle instead of the London, to be honest, as the openings are very similar, with the only difference being the development of the dark squared bishop, which is why the London is generally agreed to be a stronger version of the Colle System. As such, even though the Colle is clearly a worse version of the London, I at least have to give these players respect for not playing the London opening, which is why I think the Colle System belongs in the middle of C tier. In most gambits, the position is roughly even or one side is slightly worse. But when playing the Blackmar-Diemer Gambit, you are not allowed to care about computer evaluation, as it is not rare that after the first 4 moves of the game, you will be completely losing. This would worry some people, but not Blackmar-Diemer players, as they do not care about computer evaluation at all. All they care about is causing chaos, attacking the whole game, and disrespecting you by hitting the most vile checkmates imaginable. I used to not be too scared of this opening, until one day when playing a friend, I got hit with the most disgusting checkmate I've ever seen, where my friend was able to sacrifice a queen. And after this happened to me, I was never the same, and am now permanently scared of the Blackmar-Diemer Gambit. As such, these people are evil. They are chaotic, and you should not trust them, but they are interesting, I guess. As such, the highest I feel comfortable putting people who play this opening is bottom of C tier. The Nimzo Indian is one of the most complex openings in chess. Also, it is fortunately one of the strongest responses to play against d4, c4, knight c3 that black can possibly play. And some white players even decide to develop their other knight first so that they don't have to play against the Nimzo Indian. Most people who play this opening do not touch grass, and I can vouch for this as I have started playing the Nimzo Indian pretty recently and have not been able to go outside, see my friends, or even see the sun, to be completely honest. However, it is one of the most common openings at the Grandmaster level and is pretty interesting to study. So although people who play this opening do not often touch grass, in my opinion it is an extremely valid opening, especially if you want to become the best chess player you can be, which is why I think this opening belongs in top of B tier. I don't know why, but something about the modern Scandi just pisses me off. I think it's the fact that these players think they're fancy because they're not straight away taking the pawn with their queen and instead developing their knight with the goal to take the pawn later with their f6 knight. However, this is not slick. You are not cool for playing this opening, and it is easy for white to take the full center with d4, c4 and get a comfortable middle game without needing to know too much opening theory. Because of this, I really don't like modern Scandi players who think they're cool and onto something new. You're not different from Scandi players, and if anything, you're worse, which is why I think this opening belongs at the top of D tier. The Petroff is one of those weird openings that if you say you play, people will instantly bully you due to the drawish nature of this opening at the highest level. The most famous example of this is in the 2018 World Chess Championship, where Fabiano Caruana was able to defend quite consistently against Magnus Carlsen by exclusively using the Petroff Defense and going entirely undefeated. However, we are not Grandmasters, and we will never be Grandmasters, let's be real. So why is it that everyone bullies the Petroff Defense? Probably primarily because it is so different and pretty rare compared to other lines of the same strength. As such, I believe playing the Petroff Defense is completely valid, as it leads to interesting games and is a nice change to see from the much more common knight c3. Also, people who play this opening seem pretty chill and relaxed, which is why I think this opening deserves to be in top of B tier. The Jobava London absolutely mogs the normal London. It is pretty much the London on crack, as white very often sacrifices material, try and checkmate black right away, especially in the King's Indian, where white usually sacrifices a rook to open up black's king and get some crazy checkmate. This opening is great as it forces black to think. They can't play the same moves they play against most d4 lines and have to make sure they are reacting to white's constant threats. Unfortunately, due to the Jobava London having London in its name, it does lose a substantial amount of respect, which is why even though the opening is cool and people who play this opening are very fun and crazy to be around, the highest I can put this opening is middle of A tier. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please like, sub, become a channel member if you wanna, and have a good rest of the day or night.